What's up everyone, it's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and by now you've probably realised that I'm not covering the entirety of Gamescom. There's just one or two things in particular I want to talk about, and this would be one of them. So if you watched anything Gamescom related yesterday, you most likely would have watched the Square Enix Final Fantasy 15 Active Time Report. Real quick before I go into any more detail, whenever the term ATR is going to be used in this video, it's referencing Active Time Report. It's just so much easier that way that I don't have to explain it every time. But anyway, the ATR is basically the presentation designated specifically for Final Fantasy 15 news and info. It went on for an hour yesterday. You can find the video, the recount of the entire situation on YouTube. They showed off some new stuff. It was mostly filled with cutscenes in the new trailers, as well as there was a tiny little bit of gameplay, specifically involving a swamp area with a Marlboro, and there wasn't too much shown in there, but there was a bit of info given away about the game as well. But it wasn't really anything major or anything we didn't know, and of course, myself included, it didn't give away a release date like we were all hoping for. Again, myself included, I was really hoping for a release date or an announcement of a PC version of Final Fantasy 15. So that was a bit unfortunate anyway. However, Hajime Tabata, who is now the director of Final Fantasy 15 after Tetsuya Nomura was moved to Kingdom Hearts 3, he realized that he saw the reception to the ATR from yesterday, and he figured, okay, everyone is disappointed for this, so let's do something about it. So here's what he had to say about the entire thing. There's a couple of quotes here, so I'll go through them all anyway. So, we looked at the reactions to yesterday's ATR, and we understand that people expected a big information update at Gamescom, and we do understand that we really disappointed people, and we're really regretful about that. We came to Gamescom this year with our plan, having people who know the series and people who don't. We wanted to introduce the information on a level playing field. We miscalculated the kind of expectations toward this event, especially for what people want to see at this show. There was a big gap between our perceptions of what people should be doing and what people expected. Is that, yeah, what people should be doing and what people expect? That's just it. That sounds weird in my head. And we realized that very quickly. We realized that very quickly after the reaction. We really wanted to say something else, so we've got something we'd like to say to you. You won't be waiting until 2017. We want to get that across. We want to reassure people that we're going to get it out. So that's pretty big news. That's essentially a release date of some sort. I remember, if you look at one of my previous videos where I kind of speculated that the Final Fantasy 15 release date would be 2017 or beyond, based on the amount of progress they'd made on the game and how long they had been working on it in that amount of time. I predicted like maybe 2017 or possibly even 2018 at the time. But now they're giving us, well, this isn't narrowing it down too much, but they're basically saying 2016. Now that's good in a way. That it's better that we have a slightly narrowed down release date rather than a kind of perpetual limbo release date, especially given the fact that as of let's say 2015 or 2016, because that's when it's slated to come out. As of 2016, that game will have been in development for 10 years. 10 years. Final Fantasy 15 will, if it releases on schedule, it will release 10 years after its announcement. It was probably even being developed for a bit before that, because obviously they had stuff to show off and all, so they had to come up with their concepts and all the demos and just all that kind of shit. So it was probably, it'll have been 10 years since the announcement. It would probably have been like 11, maybe 12 years since the actual development started. So I think that's crazy. Now, like I said, 2016 is when they're aiming for. Now, hopefully that doesn't get pushed back. That's obviously all delays and whatever you want pending, whatever you want to blame as pending anyway. So there are a bunch more quotes where they basically talk about his responsibility and what he was doing before Final Fantasy 15 and what he was doing after or during Final Fantasy 15 and before and after it became Final Fantasy 15 as opposed from Versus 13. I'm not going to go into all of those things because I'll be reading out all these quotes for like 20 minutes, and realistically you clicked into this video to hear about the release date. I'm just going to give you what you want. That's basically it. So Final Fantasy 15 is essentially coming to consoles, Xbox One and PS4 in 2016. Now, there is word that an actual release date is going to be set around PAX Prime, which is in a few weeks. It's towards the end of August. Now, if that is the case, that'll be brilliant. I mean, I'd love to get an even more solid release date on Final Fantasy 15. However, there are a couple of is it caveats or caveats? I don't know, but you get what I'm saying anyway. You know the word I'm trying to use. The main things I want to understand, or I want to go hand in hand with this release date, is that they're not just setting a release date and then compromising the game because of it. Obviously, it's been 10 years. You know, they can't really rush the game. But let's just say they come out and say May 2016. And maybe the game releases in May 2016, but you can tell that it wasn't finished. You know, maybe there's a couple of patches added down the line that would improve, I don't know, maybe frame rate or resolution or combat or, you know, whatever. You know, if that's the case, don't do that. No, Square Enix, give us a realistic-ish release date. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, even after you've said this, delay it from 2016 if need be, to get it out finished. That's all I can say. You know, don't force yourself into this release date, and just to meet this release date, you know, don't compromise the game quality and just what you should be getting out on the game. Now that's the one thing. I do want to talk one other little bit of info real quick. This isn't so much of an info as it is opinions. It also goes to do with, well, what I was just saying about the, you know, hitting whatever release date they announce. I really hope the demo episode, Dusky demo, gets another update of some sort, because as it stands now, I really dislike isn't strong enough a word. I actually hate the combat of Final Fantasy 15, and I hate a lot of the gameplay of Final Fantasy 15, which is really sad and really unfortunate for me, because I'm a huge JRPG and an even bigger Final Fantasy fan, and to see this as what had been essentially originally, I mean, if you compare it to the old Versus 13 videos, it's not the same. The Versus 13 videos looked a lot better combat gameplay wise, and having played the episode Dusky 1.0 and 2.0 demos, I'm still very worried about the current state of the combat system in Final Fantasy 15. Now, the game is a year plus away, so they have all the time to fix that, possibly change it, possibly make some drastic changes, some minor changes. The main thing I want to get rid of is the camera controls. That needs to be fixed, if you ask me. At the same time, I'll just throw this in real quick. I do feel slightly worried that Kingdom Hearts 3 might befall the same fate combat-wise. However, you know, I'll be optimistic, which is not usual for me. But let's just say Kingdom Hearts 3 will not befall the same thing. So I'm not completely against putting a 3D battle system in. Like I said, Kingdom Hearts 1 worked really well for it. Kingdom Hearts 2 had it. Kingdom Hearts 3 will most likely have a continuation of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 variant, so hopefully it doesn't suck. Final Fantasy 12, off the top of my head, had a more active combat system. That was done really well as well. So I am in favor of a 3D combat style system. However, as long as it's not shit and, you know, it's not done really poorly, which unfortunately the current state of Final Fantasy 15, my opinion is obviously going off the episode Dusky 2.0 demo. You know, it's just not good enough, and it's still an awful unmitigated disaster, or a slightly mitigated disaster, because it even though it's improved from 1.0, it's barely improved. That's all I can say. So anyway, release date will be 2016 at some point for Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox One and PS4. We're most likely, hopefully, going to hear a realistic, reasonable release date at PAX Prime in a few weeks. I say realistic and reasonable because, like I said, I don't want them to release it on January 1st, 2016 if they have to force it out and the game suffers because of it. Just wait, release it later in the year or delay it to 2017 if need be, because this game is going to get heavy scrutiny for being in development for 10 years, and if it releases subpar or broken, there's going to be hell to pay. The internet will not take to that kindly. So let me know in the comment section below anything you think about a possible release date, the combat systems, and what could possibly change between now and then, if you've played the episode Dusky demo, that is. And as well as what you think about them actually possibly announcing a release date in a few weeks and then sticking to it in a bad way. And when I say that, I mean if they announce a release date and they release it early / broken / whatever the fuck you want to call it. So let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. That'll also come in handy for Comic-Con this weekend as well, because I'll be tweeting out plenty of cool looking stuff from Dublin Comic Con that I see over the weekend. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel. Chances are Monday onwards, because this will most likely be my last video before I leave for the weekend for Comic Con.